Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raad Life. So if you've heard some of the episodes I've been doing the last couple of weeks, we've been interviewing some people that have brick and mortar locations or people that are more in the service industry. And right now with the coronavirus, people are getting hit really hard. Like it's impacting them, especially if you're in brick and mortar. And fortunately, the landlords have been very amicable and very empathetic. And in many cases, as we'll talk to this gentleman here that's playing it really cool on the other camera next to me. He's somebody that's been on the show a couple of years ago. I can't believe that's how much time has passed.
I know.
And he's done quite a bit. I mean, I remember when we first had him on the Raad Life, he was about to open the first location or had just opened the first location. And they're looking at the third location in a month or so. And this was really just tough timing. And as far as the, people really pivoting, well, I don't know of anybody who pivots better than this guy. Okay. He stabs and weaves and it's part of what he does. So Andre Hitman Huseman, man, I appreciate you being on the show, brother. I really do.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it. I wish the circumstances were different, but we're here anyway.
It's always good to talk to you, regardless of circumstances.
That's right.
Okay. I mean, this man, in many ways, has always got a smile on his face, too. He always makes everybody around him feel good, too. And,
that's it. Yeah.
Right? So talk to me, man. I mean, you guys, you're opening. I knew you were opening your second location in Long Beach on 2nd and PCH. Your original location is right off Bison in Newport, and you're looking at a third location that's in the works right now that's almost open, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So 14 days ago, you had just opened Long Beach.
21 days ago, we just opened
days,
up. Yeah, 21 days ago, we opened up. Yeah, so I got the one in Newport Beach called BoxHaus. They're all BoxHauses, and I opened up my second one off 2nd and PCH in Long Beach. We were open 7 days. Like I mentioned before, I probably had taught 4 boxing classes throughout the week, and full schedule. And boom, we get hit with this thing. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll slow down a little bit because nothing was.
It wasn't 100%. Like you could have 10 people or under. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like operate half capacity. Okay, whatever. And then I have another location, our third location, opening up in Brentwood in LA off of 26th and San Vicente. And that's no surprise that we're about, I don't know, maybe 60, 70% done with the construction.
Yeah.
And that's still moving forward. And so you want to talk about bad timing of having a location 7 days open and closing the doors, and then a third location still moving forward because construction is still considered essential at some level.
Yep.
And so you want to talk about, still stroking checks to people when you don't have any revenue coming in.
Nothing's coming in, right?
No, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys. I mean, I'm always watching what you're doing because I tell people sometimes not that you can't learn this, but some people actually in their DNA. There's sort of a combination of this sort of entrepreneurial spirit, outside the box, excuse the pun, thinking, right? And just looking for opportunities maybe through a different lens and filter. And I know you're just wired that way. Okay, this is kind of your life lesson, your life journey, put you in this kind of situation where you acquired that. But again, to be clear, it's not something that people cannot learn. And I think given what's going on right now, I bet you there's going to be a lot of people that are going to basically learn this very, very quickly. They're going to have to, right?
It sounds like, yes, what you just said, I think it's partial DNA. I think learned behavior, learned the atmosphere you grew up in. But you
were very candid, Andre, when you were on the show last time. I mean, you were very candid, very vulnerable. Talked about your background, the struggles that you had, your family has had. And I think that's something that once it's wired into you, it's always there, regardless of what level of success you get.
100%. It's just part of who I am, and so. Back to your statement about, some people are going to learn the hard way about not making a decision and kind of just sitting and waiting. And I think that is the worst thing. So I always, I mentioned last time on the show, I played college football, right? And obviously, I boxed competitively too as well, but I had a way longer, more illustrious career in football, played all the way to college.
And then something happened that threw you for a curve, right?
Yeah, of course. And so, but you know what? One of the things I learned playing football, when you're on the field, and you have nobody to block, make a play, do something, fucking make a move, hit somebody is what they would say. You don't know what to do, hit somebody. So I've always had that wired into my head. All right, well, I could just sit and watch my business go to shambles. Immediately when the door shut, I was home with my wife. I was like, fuck this. I'm going live on Instagram. I'm just going to do free videos working out. And man, I had over hundreds between my Instagram and my BoxHaus Instagram, my company Instagram. We have over 20,000 followers, solid community.
Yeah.
And then there I went. Started with these live classes, 10 a.m. People were tuning in on Instagram, watching me put together 21-minute workout. 21 minutes. I was sitting at home. I have it. I wrote it down. I was like, 21 minutes. And you don't want to go longer, babe? I was like, nah, you can't go shorter. You can't go longer. And then no weights. How come no weights? Well, nobody has weights at the house. Think about the general person.
Right. You can't. You couldn't even order them. Actually, I've heard from people that they couldn't order them for the longest time, even from Amazon. I mean, the funny thing is you couldn't get weights. Yeah, granted, we all know that the toilet paper flew off the shelves, right? But you couldn't get weights. You can't get toilet paper, sanitary, napkins, whatever it is that you needed to get for cleaning. And you couldn't get webcams, by the way. If you didn't have a webcam, those webcams flew off the shelves so faster than toilet paper, because every teacher out there was buying them and making sure that the students were able to basically. Yeah, it's crazy. Like we're all focused on toilet paper, and Staples is basically being depleted of webcams, right?
That's awesome.
Right, and so I saw, because I've been watching it, right, and it's fascinating to watch people in the same industry and how people deal with adversity differently.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're all in this together. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like highlight one or the other, but it's just fascinating lessons on seeing. And you were almost instantaneous in wanting to take it to that level, and to be honest, also give it away. And that's something to be said here. Like, you were like, okay, listen, we have a community, we have people. People can't make it to the gym, can't make it to BoxHaus. What can I do to support their need? Actually, even more so now than under normal conditions, for healthy mind, body, and mindset, right?
Absolutely.
Because all of a sudden they're at home, but like they got their kids 24/7 now. There's no breather. They don't know if their job is secure or not. The one escape that they can maybe somehow control is maybe their physical fitness. And guess what? They can't get to the gym. They can't get to BoxHaus.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why I didn't do hour workouts or 45 minutes. I'm always, much like yourself, I'm always watching people and habits. So I'm on Instagram a lot. I'm watching the 16, 17-year-old girl and boy and what they're doing. What app are they on? What are they so fixated on? Then I'm watching the 25, 26-year-old male and female, the 35, the 45.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about, all right, how about my situation? I have a daughter, my wife, I'm here at the house. To get away, to say, hey, kids, sit down for an hour, that's not fucking happening. But what can happen? I know you can make 21 minutes out of the day to get away, get a great workout. And like I said, or like you said, I went 3 weeks for free, just free content. That's it.
Yeah, and that's where the support and being there for people right now it is. I mean, and I hate to put it this way because it sounds a little manipulative, but it's not. If it's authentic and genuine, it's not. It is good business. Good business right now is to actually be empathetic and compassionate and put out there and seed that ground, not basically look to harvest right now. And there's people that are still looking to harvest right now, and maybe it's out of desperation. I'm not knocking it, but it is not a smart move right now. It is really not a smart play right now.
It is not. You just said it best. Empathy.
Empathy and compassion, and it's in everything, and it's like across everything. In fact, if anything, you're now basically under the microscope even more, because people have the time and the attention on you right now more than maybe when there was so much more noise going on before.
Of course.
So the moves you're going to make now are going to determine how you come out of this thing down the road.
Agreed. And so I'm some of this stuff is strategic. Most of this stuff is just something like you mentioned. It's just natural to me.
It's authentic. It's true to who you are and your.
Let's just go in this direction. Yeah. I feel like it's gonna pan out. It should pan out. If it doesn't, we go the other way. Pivoting is in boxing. It's a move we do to pivot to the right, pivot to the left. So like there is a pun intended, I'm pivoting on both sides.
I've been trying to get you on the show since I started doing it on a daily, because exactly that connection. But you've been busy guy out there, so I had to wait my turn. So I appreciate you
slipping, bobbing, weaving, punching, offense, defense. I don't know what the hell to do. I'm just throwing punches.
Look, I'm gonna talk about something too that you did that was I thought was very smart, and I thought again it's really thinking outside the box. Okay, and
Yeah.
you guys started because at the same time that you were doing this for free for 3 weeks, then
Yep.
I think you guys realized that you could actually make this thing not only something that currently is useful, but down the road could be an added layer to your brand, especially with an increase in market areas. You're opening into another market in LA, and those places are not cheap rent. I know that. I
No.
mean,
No.
when I started doing design, I was on 22nd and Wilshire. You're just up the street on
Yeah.
22nd and 7th Cent. It's kind of ironic,
Y-
actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. I'd be working over there if I was still working at 22nd and Wilshire, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be working out. So the thing about it is I saw you guys make a move that I thought was brilliant. And
Right.
the move was that you all of a sudden started basically a rental program.
Mm.
You and I know, and I didn't connect the dots until I talked to your people that this was inventory that you had. You had bags that you use for demonstrations
Yeah. For our
and
pop-up events. Yeah.
for your pop-up events, right? Like the lawn in Fashion
Yeah.
Island or
Yeah.
whatever it
Of
was,
course.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And you had 10 bags that were freestanding bags that you
Right.
use for those demonstrations and pop-up events.
Yep.
They were sitting in the back room,
Yep.
basically collecting dust. And you went
Yeah.
in and you said, okay, let's wipe these things down, turn them into a rental program. And you rented those things out. By the time I reacted to that, they were already gone.
Oh, they were gone within like, I mean, I had people just blow me up on my DMs like, Dre, how much? And we were still coming up with price points. What makes the most sense? You got to think about. We had to rent the U-Haul, get a couple delivery guys, get it delivered, timing, execution. But at the end of the day, that's yeah. Thank you. It's a great move,
That
and
was a
I'm
great
not
move.
trying. Thank you. It's and look, there's 10 of them. Look, it's a Band-Aid, right? But it's also could
No, no,
be
no, but no, because when I basically reached out to see if I can get a bag for with this interview, and I have it like behind me or something, and I figured, you
yeah,
know what, the hell, I'll work out with Andre. Let's see what this is, right?
yeah,
And they're like, no, no, well, we were out of bags, sorry, but if you want, and so this was the nice little the upsell and the value added, right?
yeah,
But if you would buy a bag that
yeah,
for $5.99 or whatever it was,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
if you're serious about this, within 2 months you would have paid off for a bag instead of renting one, right?
Yep.
I started kind of grinning in compliment. It was a complimentary grinning, right? I was grinning under my breath because I'm like that, and I'm like, well, but is this a generic bag or is this a branded bag?
Right,
And
right.
and they're like, no, 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 it's a BoxHaus bag, and I'm like, this is brilliant. So you pitched the first 10, you got them off the shelf so quickly, you got the
Yeah,
program being dialed in for virtual training,
yeah,
and
yeah.
now you got me where I can buy the bag, and I'm thinking
Correct.
to myself, yes. So if I'm in an area where there is no BoxHaus, just guess what just happened? Andre
Yeah,
is coming to my house via the virtual realm now,
yeah.
regardless whether if I'm in Big Bear or I'm like in Hammett or God knows
Whatever.
wherever. Maybe I'm in Anaheim. I don't have to
You,
go to
I
BoxHaus.
love Anaheim. That's my hood.
I know it's your hood. So that was
Yeah,
a brilliant move. And I know you got, listen, I know you it's not all you. I know you got a great team. You got a great team. It's like you said, it's a community around BoxHaus.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit of the hard stuff that you've had to deal with, because I know you've had to deal with some hard stuff when it comes to that, right? In adjusting and pivoting right now.
Yeah, it's first and foremost, it's your employees, man. You cultivate employees, they become friends, they become family, and we have such a tight community. Once a month we go, like we'll go to the OC fair when that's up, and we'll take our professional photographer with us and shoot with us, and then we'll go to the beach. We'll go down on we'll just do different location, different shoots, because obviously content is super important in today's world and for the social front. But we take care of our employees a
Yeah,
lot.
but
We do.
you guys are not posers or fronters. That's the kind of cool thing about this brand,
No,
is that
no.
it's not posing and fronting. And if you at the moment of crisis like this basically were untrue to your DNA with your brand's going to suffer. Your business is going to suffer. So you in a way you're just you. I mean, you're just you. This is the thing that I always tell people, like, it's Andre is Andre. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just all the other stuff is just labeling and coding and
yeah,
dressing and all this stuff, but at
yeah,
that core of it,
yeah,
you are the DNA on this brand, and you've got other partners. I mean, you got
yeah.
great partners.
Yeah,
I know there's a connection with the Grid Cycle family and all that stuff, but it's like, it's really an awesome thing to watch you succeed, my friend, honestly.
Thank you.
And I mean that. You know, I
Appreciate it.
genuinely celebrate your the successes. And I was just grinning from ear to ear when you did that bag move. I was like, yeah, this has got
Thank
this
you.
is yeah, this is, it makes perfect sense that they
Yeah.
would do this. And
It's
so
great, and I really appreciate the compliment, man. You know, part of being the quote unquote front of the house is the praise and the glory is all there when something great goes on too. But you know, when I make some mistakes, the team makes some mistakes, and I'm also the guy in front. You know, I'm usually the first guy in and like the last guy out. It's like, well, hit up Andre. He's the guy. He
yeah, but
owns that place.
you don't hug the spotlight too, man. I want, I mean, I think under normal circumstances that's admirable, but you know, in a moment of crisis, I mean, you're there. You really give of yourself,
Yeah,
not just to the business, but to the people, whether they are your
yeah,
clients, whether they're, you know, your
yeah.
employees. And so I can imagine that it was really hard. How many people did you guys have to lay off or furlough?
Close to 30 people, I'd say.
Out of a number of how much?
About we laid off 30 out of well, there's only 4 of us left. Call it 34, 30. Yeah,
Oh
there's
my
only about
God! So
34 of us.
that's a big chunk of your infrastructure,
Yeah,
of your
yeah.
family, basically, your
It's just
business
me, my
family.
business partners, our studio director, and then like the fit, like our kind of our boxing director, Mary, and that's it. And we're just trying to do what we can and pivot. Not only just pivot and make a move, but like run the play too, as well, as what I say. So, you know, you got a playbook, but like you still got to run it, you still got to execute it. And we're finding, in all seriousness, we're finding some hiccups within this strategy. I think sometimes people think like you put a video out and some content, boom, you're up and running, and
No,
there's another vertical of income. There's a
right,
lot that goes into
right.
creating and streaming online. There's a full blown online experience, and there's a similar connection between a brick and mortar and then the online experience.
Absolutely.
People still want to feel touched. People still want to feel engaged at some level, and people want to feel like they're there. So learning that on the fly, this isn't a thing. I'll be honest. If anybody's going virtual or more online, this isn't a thing that normally you get to take your time and build this out. Like,
Right.
dude, it's time sensitive right now because a lot of people are hurting for cash, hurting for money, hurting for revenue, want to maintain their customer base, things like that.
Yeah, but you know what? You're also trying to maintain this ship because I'm sure there's a lot of loyalty in the people that worked for you, and
Oh
like I said,
yeah,
they were family. So I mean, you know, maintaining the ship and having, because we all know, everybody knows this is going to be a point where this comes to an end. At least with the medical threat of it, I think there's going to be ramifications and ripple effects on how people spend their money, how they basically engage in public spaces that will go
yeah,
beyond that all clear siren, right? But what's happening also right now is everybody, like I tell people, like maybe you had 1%, 10% of the population basically using Zoom, and they were using it because somebody sent it to them because there's going to be a meeting, and you know,
yeah,
and it's like, oh, I don't really want to drive over there, I'll just use Zoom.
yeah.
Now it's basically, people are referring to it as both their break room and their boardroom, right? So
It's crazy.
the way,
It's cool.
yeah, it's cool, but the behavior pattern, how you behave, your etiquette, all the stuff, your authenticity, I mean, you're literally on stage.
Yeah,
You're on
yeah,
this thing, you know, you're on stage. And so people have a really strong bullshit radar, you know. You know, and when in the past, when you were on Zoom, if somebody didn't turn on their camera, it was no big deal, right? It was no
yeah,
big deal. It's
yeah,
like, well,
yeah,
whatever, right? And you're multitasking, doing whatever the hell else you're
yeah,
doing
yeah,
because the
yeah, yeah,
camera is not on, right?
yeah,
Now, if I don't turn on my camera, people are like, what's going on? Why aren't you on your camera? What are you trying to hide?
yeah.
It's like within 3 weeks, the whole culture of how we interact with one another in a virtual environment in real time has changed. So I totally hear what you're saying. This is not something to be done lightly, but there's
Uh-huh.
a certain aspect of it that you're building the plane as as you're flying.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, we're doing a lot of the FaceTime and Zoom stuff from a family perspective. You know, we haven't seen a
Yeah.
lot of our family. Like most people, we're taking this COVID thing pretty serious. And, you know, I think when you got kids, you take it a little bit more serious. If you have underlying conditions, you're taking it serious. And you just should. And even if you're someone who doesn't believe that this is a real thing, even if you're someone who says, hey, not happening to me, I'm also watching and measuring how your level of respect for other people, right? So like, and you can compare this to other things like, well, I don't really believe in God, so to speak. but are you going to walk around and say things about God?
Or you're
No,
going to respect other people's faith.
you got to still respect. So if you're going around, not you need to have a mask, but if you're getting inside people's 6-foot space, or you're sneezing and coughing, not covering your face, or not taking necessary precautions, those are things that I'm watching, because right now I'm able to see who you are as a human being, because now we're in a pandemic. Now I get to see whether I want to do business with you in the future, be your friend, or even say hi to you when this is all over, because I know how you are at your worst. Because right now we're getting an opportunity to see people at their worst, how they react. Fear fucking brings shit out in people, and I'm learning
That's
that
true.
a lot right now.
It's true.
Fear brings out so much in people, and which is all good. Fear could bring out
The
really
good, the good or the bad. Right, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there are people that are rising and showing leadership on things, man, that not necessarily you wouldn't have thought of them of doing it, but you probably weren't on their radar. I mean, my very first interview when I started doing this on a daily basis was a lady who's a friend of my sister's that's basically got about 50 people sewing right now for donating masks to healthcare workers. They're doing about 100 masks a day, Andre.
Awesome.
Right?
Freaking awesome.
Right. They're giving masks to Mission Hospital. They're giving masks to daycare, adult daycare people. I mean, I got a friend of mine who's going to be on the show next couple of days, who's a concierge doctor out in Newport. She's gonna come over and actually give me a test, because the system is not in place. The support, the leadership where you think it would come from is not there.
No.
And so people are rising to the need and the occasion, and it is a beautiful thing to watch on a human story level, right?
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
But to your point, yes, there are certain people that you're seeing you're seeing how they really are.
Mm-hmm.
How they really are when the rubber meets the road, when it's you or somebody else. Are you selfish? Are you going to basically do whatever, and it doesn't matter whose impact it has on? And to your point, you're a businessman. You're like, I'm watching people because I'm going to see who I'm going to basically do business with or not.
100%. And I enjoy watching people. I get oftentimes my wife should be like, you need to stop staring at those people. We'll be at Disneyland. I just want to people watch. I love people watching.
You're a very much a people person. Yeah.
I like watching human behavior and how people interact and stuff like that. I don't know who I got it from, what I got it from. I just like doing it. So I should. But yeah, to your point, and yeah, that's what it is. We'll see what happens.
So tell me, how everybody's okay? Family's safe? Family's healthy?
Yeah, family's safe. We've had a few members at our studio that that we follow on a social. We've been open a few years that I follow. They got the COVID-19, but they seem to walk out of it.
Yeah.
This becomes more real as closer people to you get it.
Yeah.
I had a friend on Facebook whose grandmother passed away. She was 90. Of course, underlying conditions, but healthy as could be for a 90-year-old. Got the COVID-19, passed away, and it's just one of those things. We're doing everything we can on a personal level to be safe. And again, not just for us, but for other people.
And to your point, it takes on a different reality because everybody's like asking, do you know anybody? Do you know anybody? And I don't know anybody personally, but I know I last week I found out a friend of mine, whose family is in Ecuador, and you got that added layer of a country that maybe doesn't have as much resources, but in Ecuador, and his mom is in ICU. An uncle of his actually got hit with it and passed away, and his uncle in New York is also hit with it. So he's got family members, like about 4 or 5 family members that are hit with it, and his mother is better, but she's still in ICU. So all of a sudden it becomes very real. This is not a joke. And whether you're God-given, that you're healthy and you have a strong immunity. And I tell people, I think I might have had it even in January because we had a really bad flu season, quote unquote flu season this January. And I was quarantined for about a week with influenza, what was diagnosed at the time as influenza type 1A. But it makes you wonder, like, did we deal with it in January, some of us, because they're talking about California being where you have about 8,000 people coming in from China every day.
Wow.
So there's actually a study right now in Stanford University that's testing to see if in California, because of our exposure, I mean that's the largest number of Chinese that come into the United States at any time is in California. So if we in California, in fact, have been infected with COVID before we even know there was such a thing as COVID, and as a result of people basically recovering, do we have a herd mentality or, a herd immunity to that COVID is what they're testing now in Stanford. There was a study that went on this week. So we're waiting on the results. But it becomes very real. I mean, I got my parents that live 6 miles away from me. They're in their 80s, right? My mom's got lung cancer. My dad's got dementia. I mean, it kills me. My dad's calling me 15 times a day because he forgets that he called me and basically asking me if I'm okay. And I just want to go over there, but I can't really risk it with their condition.
You can't. And that's the thing. We've stayed away from grandma and all these. I mean, you just got to do it, man. It's very, very difficult.
How are you going to celebrate Easter? How are you going to deal with Mother's Day that's coming up? You know, it's like all these realities that now we're all dealing with, and it doesn't matter whether you're driving X, Y, or Z, whether you're living in this house size or that house size. Everybody's like on a level playing field right now in what they're dealing with.
You know what I did for my wife? You talked about, it was her birthday this past Monday. So we did a Zoom thing. So we got the closest friends and family, and we weren't biased, just whoever wanted to jump on, right? So we got a good group on there. And it wasn't a surprise. Say, hey, 6 p.m. we're going to do a Zoom, and, you know, everybody have a glass of wine or champagne at their home, and we'll do a little toast, a little happy birthday. And then I said, everybody in that little square box, there was like 1, 2, there was 9 of them. Just take 1 minute how you met my wife, and if your family, how you met her. Obviously, you know how, your family, but one memorable moment about her. And, you know, it was a good 20 minutes of listening to people, how they either met my wife at work or in college or through me. And I think if you can do it in a way where it's impactful and it's meaningful, your birthdays can still have a certain level of love attached to it. And look, at the end of the day, we're really finding out, man, at the end of the day, it's just about family and friends and your health, you know? Because look, I'm looking at my bank account. This is like, I'm not even spending money.
Yeah.
I'm not going out to Javier's. I'm not going to get drinks. I'm like, wait, my bank account really hasn't even moved, you know, unless you know that there's a lot of stuff out there that we're spending on that we don't even need to spend. But at the end of the day, I do enjoy having a nice cocktail with some friends.
Well, I'll tell you something. I co-hosted an event yesterday for John Date for Cigar Night Business Mixer.
Yep.
And it was very interesting for me. And I think I was speaking about it earlier today, is that you and I go to things, and many times it's like, you know, there's a little bit of interaction, you kind of in the space, you're in the zone, but the level of connection sometimes isn't there. It's just kind of more surface there, connecting, having a drink, right? What was interesting to see, Andre, yesterday, and what you're talking about with the birthday, right, is that we literally had a conversation. And there were people from the San Diego chapter, from the LA chapter, from the Orange County chapter that were all sitting in their own backyard patio, whatever it was. And we were basically having a conversation. And the level of connection that was going on was interestingly different than the level of connection that was in the physical environment. So I'm not necessarily knocking or proposing that this is the only way we should interact with one another, but there's something here that could be a positive that comes out of this.
I couldn't agree more. And you're like me. We look at the positive before any of the negative and see if there's a way to enhance the positive. And so I'm enjoying it. I'm taking more time to talk to some friends across the country, which is great. I'm spending more time with my family, which is, I know once this comes off, I'm going right back in the tornado, right? I got to get Long Beach up and open again. I got Brentwood, like I'm going balls to the wall again. So somebody gave you some time with your family right now. So I'm taking it, man. I'm gonna, you know, I realize how much I miss when I'm gone, because I'm up and I'm out of the house, and I'm realizing how much I miss. I'm like, dang, this is really cool.
Yeah. Well, listen, my friend, I appreciate taking the time with me. I hate to take you away from your family.
No, all good.
You be well. You keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm watching.
I appreciate it. I'll see you guys at the top. That's for sure.
See you, man.